Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the Lord of the Rings The Third Age walkthrough. The last video we spent just a very little bit of time in Moria. Unfortunately, we didn't cover much ground because the fight with the Watcher, as well as my first fight with goblins here, took a little bit of time. And I don't know what I'm doing here. I wanted to get into a random encounter. I'm not really sure why, but maybe once we actually jump into battle, I'll be able to figure out why. Probably not, actually. Now that I think about it. It's been a while now since I took this footage, unfortunately, too, so it's getting to be a while. Any amount of time, and I tend to forget exactly or why I did the things I did. Basically, this fight actually looks a lot like the one from the last video, in that there's an archer and then just like I forget which guy this is. It's one of the veterans, but in all honesty, neither of these two pose any real threat. The goblin archer has no skills other than just goblin arrow, and the veteran's got some sort of like a leaping strike and like just a regular attack. And again, neither of those two skills pose any threat whatsoever. So not much as far as tactics coming into play on this fight here. At first, Elagos' arrow of sleep, or sleep arrow. Basically, all you really need to know about that is, it's really good, and then it gets better. The only thing with it, or the only real problem with it, is it's got a long reuse time. When I say that, I'm trying to think of like a good term to really use for this combat system here. So there's abilities like Hadhad has crippling smash. And it says that it slows the enemy, but that feels like a bad term to me, because what it seems to do to me instead is just delay its next action. So, that being said though, his crippling smash takes very little like recharge time, I guess. Again, I'm not really sure if that's a great term for it, but basically it means that whenever you use crippling smash, Hadhad will get another action fairly soon afterwards. Some actions, however, like actually I'm doing for him too, but like his spirit attack, his damaging spirit attack, that's got a really long charge time or reuse time, or I don't know. Again, I don't have a real good term to describe it all. But again, it seems to me anyway that maybe some of the descriptions are just a little, I don't know, less descriptive than I would suspect. When I think of a slow, I generally think of an ability or a status effect that would then make all of your, not only make all of your characters, it would seem that it would make your characters act more often, because it is getting less turns. But again, to me, the wording is not very descriptive, or maybe that's just my idea of how a slow works, and I guess I just base that off of other RPGs that I play. But again, the game describes those as being like a slowing type abilities, and I don't think that's the case at all, or in my experience, that's not a good word to describe it. Really, all it is delaying their next action. So, I guess, take that at face value, I suppose, but that's my experience, and that's how I kind of see these skills working. And that being said, I was a little, I don't know if I'd say disappointed in myself, but I eventually, and this is quite a bit later here in, I don't know, probably a few more videos, but what I did was I just took another break from the actual story and progressing, and basically just leveled. And unfortunately, I got a little sloppy in my leveling, and what I mean by that is I ended up getting points from some passives that I didn't really want to get right away. And at the end of the day, I guess it doesn't really matter because your characters will eventually max out, or you're going to get all the passives as long as you keep leveling, which I don't even know what the minimum amount of experience is, but I suspect that no matter what, you're always going to get all your passives. But some passives are better than others, and I like to micromanage that a little bit more than just, leveling it and kind of leaving it be. So, again, I was a little disappointed. I got a little sloppy on a couple of the characters and, got a couple of points into the passive, and then I switched. So they're essentially, it's hard to say that it's a wasted level, but it just means that I'm not going to get the passives that I want as early as I want to get them. But anyways, alright, so we've got a, oh, nice miss. And I noticed I started missing here with some of my characters at the beginning of Moria. And specifically for Elagos, that's a pretty decent problem, because in all honesty, that's the only thing I ever use him for. I don't have like a backup skill tree. I mean, literally all he has right now, especially, is bowcraft and archer, so I mean, he needs the dexterity to back that up. And unfortunately, I thought that maybe I could just kind of get away with not putting any points into his dexterity and going, with points somewhere else. But that just wasn't the case. It got to this point here, and I started noticing I was missing a little bit too much, and I just, wasn't comfortable continuing on like that. So when I did take my break to do a little bit of leveling, I made sure I stuck a bunch of points into his dexterity. And again, I feel like that's a good route to go, just because I mean that's all he's got, especially right now. Granted, later on there are 2 more skill trees in addition to the item craft that he could take advantage of. Maybe going with basically to go along with item crafting. So technically, yeah, I could if I really wanted to just make him craft a bunch of items in combat, but that's really not how I find him effective. And I mean, you could boost up his spirit powers and use either the shadow craft tree or the light craft tree, and I don't know. I feel like that's a real waste. Again, you could do it, but when it comes down to it, his passives are really geared towards his actual, ranger craft and bow craft. So, again, you could do it, but I decided not to. So instead of, I guess, going for spirit and speed, I went strictly speed and dexterity with him. Anyways, gosh, are we still fighting the same battle? And this is the problem with Moria here, and me getting the Elfstone of crafting, because what I start to do now is craft for every single fight, just so I can get more points in that and get farther down on the tree. And I really wish I would have cut down on that for the actual playthrough, and just kind of did that off screen, because it's not, it really spreads the videos thin on actual content, and a lot of it just tends to be combat and not really accomplishing much. So, you know, I think from I guess where I'm at in the game right now to the end, I'm gonna really try to cut down on it because again, it's just, you know, there's not much content. It's just me spamming crafted, you know, king's foil. Like, who cares? Who cares if I'm crafting king's foil right now? Granted, you know, the stuff comes in handy. It's just, you know, again, I don't know. I just could have done that at a better time, I suppose. All right. Anyways, the things that you should know about these particular enemies is, I think you can stun them, but they cannot be slept, and that goes for a lot of the casters actually, or the ones that I've run across so far, and that's that. You know, they can't be slept, but that's okay. They're still vulnerable to crippling shot, which obviously is pretty awesome. And then on top of that, these guys cast a fire spell, so they're actually in maybe the crummy thing is we just got Hadhod, and unfortunately these enemies, at least the casters anyway, are immune to fire. So don't obviously waste your time or your AP on trying to damage them with a fire spell. I guess the one good thing though is they are fairly weak. So it's not going to take long before you can cut through them. And again, like I mentioned, the crippling strike. So Elagast has, what is this, crippling shot, and then Hadhod gets crippling smash, I believe it. Yeah, look at that miss again. That's really unfortunate. And that, I think that's even with Company Valor on him. So that's what I really started noticing, and I was hoping that as long as I kept Company Valor on people, that would cut down the misses, but it seemed to me that even with Company Valor on, I was missing too much, so it either does less than I hoped for, or it does nothing. I'm not really sure. I don't know if I can really say that, though. But anyways, that again prompted my, I guess, putting points into his dexterity from here on out. Not all of them, mind you. I did split fairly well between speed and dex, but you know, that can only take so many misses before it's just like really, it gets a little frustrating. So. And I see I still haven't been pairing up my Fellowship Grace with Company Might. So I'm kind of curious how much longer that'll be. It's such a good combo, though. It really is. I know I mentioned it in the previous video. It's borderline overpowered. Yeah, see, now here I'm just like casting in Burn Flame and stuff, which, you know, that's not gonna, well, granted it is actually helpful against this particular guy, but I already used, what's Barathor's group buff? Company Resistance, I think. There you go, so here's his, okay, so he's not immune to stun either. Wow, he's not immune to Bind Spirit either. Wow, okay. So he's really only immune to sleep. That's the only crummy thing about that guy. Otherwise, you can use almost everything on him. Hopefully we get the show on the road, though, because otherwise Moria is going to turn out to be like 20 videos. Yeah, and it does look like, so I must have used Fellowship Grace earlier. Yeah, I don't know, these buffs are getting redundant. I know Company Valor didn't talk. I'm curious, though, to see if, oh, look at the misses. That's really bad. So Hadhod was still getting AP back from Company, sorry, Fellowship Grace. So I'm wondering, yeah, it looks like it must have fallen off of Barathor and Elagast. And again, now I brought this up in the previous video too, but it seemed to me that my company buffs or Fellowship buffs like that, they seem to be lasting longer now. So again, I'm not sure why that is. I don't know if there's if it's related to a passive or if it's level. I have no idea, but they seem to be lasting longer now. So, food for thought. Moria Goblin Shadow Chieftain. Alright. I must be taking a break. This fight's taking a lot out of me, I guess. My gosh, end this already. Right? We gotta be getting close. I can't be stuck in this one fight forever. How long has this been though, I wonder? Probably 5-10 minutes? For one dude, which, you know, granted, yeah, I'm just skilling up, but I really should have done this, you know, at my own, or in my own time. And why did I use the, oh, I think I actually messed up. I meant to use like a spirit power or something with Idril there to finish him off, but I didn't. My bad.
Ones are hardest to kill. I might resent that remark, but I think you're right.
What have you got there?
It would appear we have discovered the last delving of the dwarves. The great mithril pit.
And that mine would likely lead us to the other side of the mountain, would it not?
So what do we wait for? Let us follow it!
Alright, so we got the, what is it, the treasure map or something like that? And, being that my characters were fairly low on AP, I figured it might not be such a bad idea to head all the way back here. Alright, let's get the show on the road. I noticed that it sounds like you can hear Hadhod's breathing as he runs. So it's kind of crazy the amount of detail that they put into this. Alright, is this the dual wielding guy? Kind of looks that way. Let's see if I can get it. No, that's not. No, I'm sorry. I don't think that's him. No, that's just a regular veteran or whatever. I'm trying to keep an eye out for those the dual wielding dudes because they are a bit more nasty than the rest of the goblins here because they can do the stun strike, which, you know, again, if you've got the leadership stand fast ability, your characters will be immune to that, so it won't necessarily be something that you have to worry about. And I'll say, this time around, I definitely used Idril's sword skills quite a bit more. I really like that stun strike. You know, I think maybe previously I didn't use it as much because as you progress farther into the game, there's just not as much, or not as many enemies that are vulnerable to it. But here at the beginning of the game, it sure seems like there's plenty that you can use that on. And, I mean, in all honesty, it behaves almost exactly like crippling strike. I think it's crippling. Is it crippling strike or crippling smash? Whatever. Anyway, Hadhod's crippling ability as well as Elagos, because it seems to me that the stun wears off the next time whoever applied it takes their turn. So, you know, again, it seems like it behaves the exact same way. Right. One down, one to go. Busting out the crippling shots again. And still crafting king spoil all day. Alright, that's the end of that. Next. Alright, got a Cutlass of Isengard. To be honest, I don't really like that because it brings my dexterity down, but we'll see what I stick with. Okay. What did I even do there? Did I equip that or not? I'm not really sure. Oh, I guess I haven't decided fully yet. I'm betting I don't. I mean, because to be honest, this thing is kind of not that great. Base damage times 12 and then plus 1 damage per level. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm guessing I don't even bother. Again, I really just didn't like the dexterity penalty. It's pretty rare that you'll have to make a decision like that. Unless you're kind of building, I guess, more my way, or you use the characters in the way that I use them. Typically, you're going to just be better off equipping better items. Especially weapons. You just get, you know, such a decent damage penalty as well as like base damage and whatnot. So, I would say 9 times out of 10. You know, again, unless you're either playing the same way I am, or, yeah, I don't know. I guess that's that's about the only thing I can think of. That would be the only reason why you would want to, you know, not upgrade. Because again, just the way the damage formula works in this game, it's typically best to equip your better weapons. Alrighty, next, use the next victim. A little surprised I didn't go all the way back to the, well, I was thinking maybe I'd go back to the save point to restore my AP and whatnot, but I guess I didn't think it was worth it. there's Lembas. Alright. We can stop making worthless Kingsfoil. I shouldn't say worthless, but I tend to find it quite a bit less useful than Lembas. Hope you like the animation for that, because you're going to be seeing a whole lot of it. And there we go. Now we're starting to craft the good stuff. You know, again, Lembas says, or sorry, Kingsfall has its uses, but I find Lembas to be infinitely more useful. Oh, and then on top of that, Old Toby takes the cake, though. That stuff is so good. Now, is this one of the dual wielding guys? No, I can't tell. It sure looks like it. Yeah, that's got to be one of them, right? So that guy's, I think, is that the first one that we've run into now? But anyways, he's one of the guys that can stun you. So, you know, if you've got the choice on whether to sleep him or sleep an archer, always sleep the dual wielders. They're just, they're infinitely more nasty. So, just to kind of put things into perspective for you, right now, I've got my Barathor has quite a bit of spirit, and every time I use a leaf of Old Toby, it fully restores all of his health and his AP. So again, kind of hopefully explains the reason why I go that route, or maybe one of the reasons. I think I would. I think I would still go down the spirit path, even if items didn't get the boost, just because of just the way, you know, I tend to play. But I guess it's, I don't know. Again, I'm not really sure if I'd say it's a solid selling point, but it does make a significant difference. Wow, I can speak today. It's one of those days. Oh, wow, I actually used a King's Foil. Mark that down on the calendar, eh? Hey, comrade? Alright, so you gotta be really thorough in this area. There's just a ton of these chests, and there's some decent stuff here, I know. Some of it's just, you know, Lembas and King's Foil and stuff, but I'm pretty sure there's some So don't miss anything. There might even be some runes in here. Actually, I think there is. Basically, the way I go about this area is I think that there's 6 rooms or 6 little crypts to you know, to explore. And what I usually do is I start on the right side and then I run across to the left, and then actually I think I go, you know, diagonally up and to the right, which maybe that's not the smartest way to go. Maybe I should have just went up and then, you know, stayed on the same side. Who knows? Anyways, like I said, I think that there's 6 little rooms that you need to explore. shot. Weird. Terrible. I'm terrible. I'm crafting up that Lembas. I would say that, you know, when it comes to the crafting, I would say, you know, maybe go King's Foil Lembas and then Old Toby, or do King's Foil and then go right to Old... Actually, that's probably what I'd recommend. After you finish King's Foil, it's probably not a bad idea to learn Old Toby right after. Again, to me it seems like it's more useful, and I don't know about the power difference between the two. Like, you know, if Old Toby does in fact heal less health and less AP, then, you know, its single counterpart, you know, being King's Foil or Lembas. I'm not sure. I guess I haven't tested it out. But that being said, Old Toby has definitely been working just fine for me. Alright, so there's rune 2 of 7. So we're getting there. It's only a matter of time. Adriel's kind of a boss right now. He's doing pretty decent damage. Not to mention the stun. Stun's really good. I really had to, excuse me, had to work really hard to get that though. Her stun is really far down in her tree. Same with Barathor's. Actually, I think Barathor's isn't just stun. I think it's his cripple. I guess I kind of have been treating them on kind of like the same, on the same terms. I don't know, maybe that's a good way to describe it, but I kind of look at them the same, I suppose, now. And man, that Drain Inspiration is so good. She gets, you know, if it wasn't already completely obvious, if you look in her passives, her AP and spell power is just, it's just insane. Later on, and I don't know if I would even really consider it that useful, but later on she does get like all the way down her passive tree. She's got a skill that just automatically restores her AP. I haven't actually got it yet, but to be completely honest, I haven't had any issues with her AP the entire game. Oh, let me take that back. Was it the very, very first fight, or the very second fight in the beginning of the game where I had no items? And I hadn't got to a save point yet to restore. So I guess, yeah, there was that one time. So I lied. My bad. Alright, let's Lembas up some dudes. See, Elagos gained a level, so we'll see if I toss some points somewhere. Yep, I went right to speed. Again, being that I was missing a little bit here, I kind of regretted that a little bit. But he does get Hands of the Bowman, and I think that was one of my reasons for not putting any more points into Dex, because I fully expected that to like solve his accuracy problem, but in all honesty, I really felt like it was still ended up being short. And you know, on second thought, it's looking like maybe there's 8 rooms here and not just 6. Maybe not. We'll see. Excusez-moi. Alright, so this is another one of the dual wielders. Wow, it looks like I'm focusing on hard. Oh no, that's not. I'm sorry. That was completely wrong. That is not one of the dual wielder guys. Just the worst. That'll take him down. 991. That's a nice... That's a fine hit. Tree beard. There you go. A fine hit. Quote for you. It was about time I came up with one, right? Crippling snot? What? Oh, shot. Oh, yeah. Just making lembas all day long. Just baking bread. So when you've got something slept, I actually kind of wanted to point this out, but when you've got something slept, you can't drain AP from it. You essentially can't do... it's almost anything. It's not true. There are some actions that you can still do on a slept enemy, but that will be once a time. So the other thing that you want to make sure is that, or to know, is that when you do wake something up, generally it gets an action right away, unless you wake it up with something like crippling blow. So just, I guess that's another thing. Keep that in mind, or I guess a stunning strike, you know, something like that. But for the most part, when you wake an enemy up, it'll take an action right away. And what did I get there? Another helmet. So we'll see who got this, or who that was for. I thought it was Bear. Yep. There we go. And this helmet, I don't know, it's okay. It's kind of cool looking. I actually kind of like his other one better, but this one does have some fancy wings on it. And Idriel is getting... Okay, I guess it's Spirit this time. Nope, Speed. I lied. Went right back to Speed. Anyways, I think I'm gonna head up here and save. I think that's what I do anyway. But anyways, stay tuned, I guess, for these videos. Hope you guys are liking them. And, alright, see you next time.